Matt, do you remember your first nationals?
Not exactly, but I do remember watching back the VHS tapes of ESPN hot summer nights and watching all sorts of Rock Aqua Jays and Badgerland over and over again.
It's showtime. This is The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast, and your one and only source for all things show skiing, bringing you news, knowledge, and interviews with the legends and stars of our sport. Here are your hosts, Matt Heilman and Adam Schaller.
Welcome to The Ski Show, coming to you just days before Division I Nationals with a fantastic episode today all about the legacy of the Rock Aqua Jays and the 50th Nationals.
Today's sponsors are Flyman Skis, custom-made jump skis and featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. You can get yours at flymanskis.com. The Paul Stokes Agency at American Family Insurance. Let Paul be your insurance agent. And by Sega Sports. Stands for Ski and Gymnastics Academy, and they do water ski lessons and trampoline training. Check them out at segasports.us.
Well, since our last episode, which was our Wisconsin State recap, which was one of our most popular of the year, between that and the Pete Hegarty episode, those two are head and shoulders above the rest in terms of popularity this season. We've had two new regional champions crowned since Wisconsin State. Last weekend, the Ski Otters won in the Midwest region, and Main Attraction won in the Eastern region. Pete Hegarty, as we just mentioned, he skied with Maine. They squeaked by the defending champion, Oxbow. Great victory for Maine. And in the Midwest, wow, they had quite an adventure on their hands. On the eve of the tournament, they had flooding and all over the area. And the sheriff there said, nope, no skiing. You're not allowed on the site. And they had to move the site, like literally in a day. They had to move. So they moved it like 35 miles away to a park on another lake. They got the tournament all set up, and they pulled it off. So kudos to everybody in the Midwest region. All those teams and officials involved, unbelievable. And Adam, what I understand, talked to Austin and Gabby a little bit, who were there, and a couple of others. It sounded like law park conditions for the entire tournament. Like literally like 18-inch white caps for the tournament. Not a single barefoot circle made it. There were teams with multiple barefoot acts a lot of struggles. So scores were lower as a result. Really challenging conditions, but they had to move it. They made it happen. Rather than cancel the tournament, they pulled it off. But it was kind of a wild Midwest.
Yeah, they got it done. I mean, that's crazy, the timing of that, right? The day before it floods, and they have to move the site, otherwise cancel, and they found a place to do it. And, you can't control the weather. It sounds like the water got a little chippy. And, in those cases, we've struggled with that too at nationals in certain sites where, you almost, you don't want to say rewrite the show, but man, you have to make a lot of changes to adapt to those conditions as best you can. It sounds like, it was a rough one, but you know what? They had a tournament. They got it done. So again, hats off to everybody involved to make that happen because, man, the day before, I mean, just think of the amount of work that goes into that, setting up that site for that tournament and, oh, sorry, no, can't ski here. Find somewhere else. So, I mean, great job.
Stuff. Yep, great job to all. Congrats to the Ski Otters, to Main Attraction. All of our regional champions are crowned, and we're off to nationals. You know what can help you in rough water, Adam? That's training with Sega Sports. Sega stands for Ski and Gymnastics Academy, and they do trampoline training and on-water training in multiple disciplines.
Yeah, that's right. Trampoline training is super important. Learn the proper technique on all sorts of freestyle jump tricks without all the harsh falls. And then once you get it to the water, obviously you've already got the reps in from the trampoline. It's just that much easier when you take it to the water.
Yeah, Sega can help you on land. They can help you on the water. Whether you want to take your freestyle jumping game to the next level or train on water in nearly any discipline of show skiing, they can help you. Sega is what you need. Find them at segasports.us. That's segasports.us. All right, Adam, time to update the scores from our fantasy draft that we did in our tournament season preview. We're done with regionals. Now we're off to nationals. Mm-hmm. So, in the lead currently with 245 points is none other than Matt Heilman. Yes.
Yep.
249 points. I nailed the Ski Otters as regional champs. You had two other Midwest teams. Didn't come through for you. 5 seasons got me 35 points at regionals. So I'm looking good. 249. Second place is Adam with 224 points. So I'm ahead by, 25 points. You got some points from River Rats and Little Crow at regionals. You have not as much hope at nationals, and we'll go through that in a second. Dave is in third right now with 212 points. As we head to nationals, I have 5 teams in D1. Shermalot, Nuts, RAJ, Otters, and 5 seasons. I'm going to get points from all of them. I also have Gabby Tashwer and Jack Heilman as MVP potentials on my list. I have the most teams available. I'm only missing Chippewa Lake. And I'll be speaking with Paige Pashina about that at some point. Just kidding you, Paige. Adam?
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh, okay. You only have 2 teams at D1. You have Badgerland and Wonder Lake. You have Eric Lebda and Grace Petzold as your MVP picks. They are also there.
They are going to carry the day for me.
Yep. You do not have Rats, Little Crow, Cypress Gardens, or Aqua Skiers skiing at Nats. Okay? Dave has the Web Footers, Mad City, and Lake City all in D1. He's got 3. So you have 2. Dave has 3 teams left. I have 5. I just want to remind you that. Dave has Sarah Fedorowicz and Aragorn Lighting as his MVP picks. He does not have Water Walker, Shawano, or Oxbow skiing at Nats. So I think I got this in the bag.
Well, I mean, the only way Dave has a chance is if Mad City wins. So, Dave, you're just in a really awkward position.
Yeah. I mean, Dave could win it all with a Mad City victory.
Yep, sure could. Sure could.
Yep. Fun stuff. So, Nationals is coming up. So let's talk about Nationals. So this episode, we're recording this just prior to D2 Nationals, but it's airing after D2 Nationals taking place. So at the time right now, we do not have anything to say about D2 Nationals, but D1, we're on the eve of D1 Nationals. It's here again. I was just talking to my parents today. They're like, where did July 4th to Nationals go? Like, all of a sudden we're here. And it's go time, and it's going to be a great Nationals.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's at Janesville. It's the 50th. Everybody's ready to go. It's going to be fun. It's, it's Nationals, right? And where did the time go? Well, I'll tell you where the time went. It went into the grind, right? We get into that July 4th through Nationals, and it's just practice, throw in a state tournament in there, and practice, and here we are at Nationals.
That's right. Grind at it. How do you handicap Nationals? Who are the favorites going in? And has anything changed from our tournament season preview in your mind based on what we've seen at regionals?
No, I don't think anything's changed. I think The Rock Aqua Jays are the favorite, clear favorite. They're at home. They're loaded with talent, and if they execute, it's game over for everybody else. Sorry to disappoint the rest of the teams, but that's just the way it is. So, and Mad City's going to be up there. Aquanuts, Wonder Lake will be up there. But it's Janesville's. So if they, like I said, if they execute, they've got a great show. I mean, it's the full package this year, right? Production and the skiing and the difficulty and the numbers. It's all there. It's all there. And they're
I agree
at home.
with you. Yep. And being at home on the 50th, they're motivated from state as well.
100%. Yep.
They're loaded. Like you said, I think we'll be in the mix. Wonder Lake. Aquanuts, I expect to be better than at state. They had some jumps zeroed out because Ethan got ill. And so I expect their scores to be much better at nationals. So I'll be excited to see what they have in store. It's gonna be a fun lineup. It's gonna be a fun weekend. The 50th, we're gonna talk to these guys today all about the 50th. So we'll get into more details on that. But again, here we are, ready to rock, and I'm excited. So before we get to our today's special guest, Adam, let's chat about Flyman Skis. They will be at Nationals with their Borrow It tent. And this is where teams can borrow equipment that they need for their show. Then they will also be at Twin Lakes Cornfest and the Buck Up finale, and they're going to be live broadcasting both on their YouTube channel.
And don't forget the skis. I mean, custom-made jump skis and their featherboard swivel skis, which are affordable, and you can chat with them at any one of the upcoming events or find them online, of course, at flymanskis.com. That's flymanskis.com.
Time for our main feature. For decades, the Rock Aqua Jays have been the premier organization in the sport of show skiing. They are the New York Yankees of show skiing. They've won the most championships, hosted the most tournaments, sustained success over such a long period of time that you can't help but be impressed. Today, we're going to talk all about the history and legacy of their team, as well as the 50th Nationals this weekend. Let's welcome to the show RAJ legends, Gerry Luiting, Duane Snow, and J.R. Wilson. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Yep,
Really
you bet. This is
appreciate
going to
the
be great.
opportunity to be here.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. So I'm going to start things off. Tell our viewers, our listeners, when did the team start and who started the Rock Aqua Jays?
I'll try and answer that one. It was started in the late 50s by a group of skiers that lived on the river and their friends. And they primarily just started skiing together and then decided to make it a club. I believe we are a charter member of the Wisconsin Water Ski Federation. And those members did more three-event skiing than anything else. And we just did shows kind of haphazardly for quite a few years. And the way I got involved was we moved to the river, and in 1963, the Aqua Jays hosted the state three event, and then I joined the Aqua Jays in 1964.
Has it always been at Traxler Park? Has that always been the site, or has it been different places on the river and you ended up at Traxler? Has it always been at Traxler?
Well, actually, Matt, we started skiing at Riverside Park, and it was known as the Aquacade. That was put on by the Gazette, and they did one or two shows a summer, and then they went ahead and continued with their three-event skiing. However, a few members saw that, hey, if we continue to put on these shows and entertain people, potentially we could start getting some input financially and go ahead and lift the club, if you will.
But to answer your Adam, you're basically Traxler Park has always been our home base,
Okay.
and that's where we
So
hosted
JR, you
pre-event
said you
tournaments.
joined. JR, you joined in '64. You said.
Yes.
Duane, when did you join the club?
I joined in 1972.
All right. And Gerry, how about you?
I joined in the winter of between 75 and 76.
That's amazing.
All right.
So you guys have, Traxler Park's been home. Talk about the changes to Traxler Park over time, because from 30,000 foot view, the evolution's been awesome. Like, to just see what's happened. Just chat about that over the years.
Well, none of the
No, go ahead.
none of the bleachers were there or anything. Just the old swimming house that was built during the Depression, and then it was turned
Is
over
that the
to the.
is that the concession stand house right now? Is that
Yes. Yes.
okay? Yep.
And that was run down, and a group of people started the Rock River Boat Association and remodeled the building. And they basically, um, when that club dissolved, we had a couple of members in it, and then it became, the city granted it to us. But
Well, there's a continuation of that as well, because that used to be the old Lions Beach. The Lions Beach now is down by the ice arena. And like JR said, some of the Rock River Boat Association, because one side of the building was for males going swimming, and the other side, of course, were for females to get dressed in. And the center section was where they actually paid to get in. And then the beach area was, of course, the swimming area. And then later on, I don't know how they got a hold of it, but it was called Atlas Pit. And that is where the Lions Beach is now.
Yeah, so and there used to be a boundary for that beach. There's a semicircular sidewalk with a masonry wall that went around behind where the bleachers currently are, and basically it went from our starting dock to near where the beer tent would be, and we took that out a number of years ago. But yeah, so when I first got there, there was nothing there. The shoreline was all just eroded, beat up grass and mud and stuff, and the starting dock was on the right hand side instead of the left, and that was kind of a ramshackle starting dock. And then time went on, and the park people finally they gave us. I remember in one of the early years in the team when I was in it, we got 4 park benches. And then we put a 4x8. 4. Yep. And then we put a piece of 4x8 sheet of plywood out there, and that was our announcer stand. And a boneheaded Jerry Hawkinson and those guys used to use a bullhorn to announce with. And that's how we got our start. We thought it was pretty cool getting 4 park benches. We're like, wow, we're becoming somebody. And then it just kept evolving and evolving and evolving. And any of the proceeds we made at Nationals went right back into making the site better, because our goal was to make it a great place for teams to come and put on as good of a show as they could, and as many spectators could watch them as good.
From the outside looking in, it seems like you guys have a tremendous amount of support from Janesville. Has that always been the case, or did they just tolerate you at the time? And eventually they're like, oh, yeah, these guys are legit. Well, how did that evolve?
Well, you're right, Adam. They basically tolerated us down there because we were all a bunch of young kids. But we realized that we have a city council in Janesville, and we made it a point to pick 1 or 2 of the people running for the city council. We would hand out their flyers and things like that. This is all before all this technology. And it really helped us out to have those people know who we were when they were in the city council meetings, and we would go and apply for things and ask for the bleachers and other items for the park. But we figured it out that we had to be involved in the community and to get their support.
And I think from my perspective on that, I was just a young kid when I came in, and I really didn't know anything about PR or any of that other stuff. But what a huge advent happened when in the late 70s and early 80s, when we started getting some of the parents in the team, and it wasn't just us, the kids running it, because we weren't always necessarily the best PR agents down there, unfortunately. And so that's, I got to credit people like Tom Cullen and Rainey Knutson and some of the old guard with doing what JR said and making it a point to be much more proactive and much better stewards of the park and of the river.
And from my perspective, when we wanted to start getting more equipment and better seating and things of that nature, we would go to the city council person's house. We would call on them, have a discussion with them, and point out the advantages of helping us along. And it proved to be very fruitful, as we went from the 4 park benches to some bleachers from a few of the fields that the schools used for their activities. And then we would disassemble those bleachers, take them to Traxler Park and reassemble them, use them for the summer, and then we would have to take them back and reassemble them at the other parks. So that's how they helped us, by giving those bleachers to us.
Yeah, that's we've done the same, but it's been more recent than the 70s and 80s. Like 10 years ago, we got bleachers from
this year
from UW Madison, and we would borrow them for the summer and have to take them back. So we, like Adam said, like we're impressed with the relationship you guys have built with the city and watching that over time, and then seeing what Traxler Park has become and the show site that it has become today has been super impressive to watch. Let's talk about kind of your.
Can I go back 1 second?
Sure.
One of the things you may not be aware of is for years, to show that we did need those bleachers for nationals, we had a lot of people on the team that were had connection with Jatco, including JR, and they would bring their trucks, their big semis, and we would go to the Ball Diamonds and to other places, and even up to Marshall, Wisconsin, to Fireman's Park, and we would load the bleachers all up. It would be this weekend coming here, and then we would bring them all down there, set them all up. We even brought some across the river on the barges and stuff, which was kind of an interesting thing to see. And then, then Monday and Tuesday after Nationals, we'd have to load them all back up and take them all back. And so, but the good thing from that was it was plainly obvious that we needed more bleachers and more seating capacity down there. But there used to be a lot of work went into what you see today.
Yeah, it's impressive, and it's great stuff to see that grow over time. I'm curious too about your internal organizational success, and so I got a kind of a multi-part question here, but I want to you'll see where I'm going. When did you guys win? What year did you win your first nationals?
79.
1979.
1979. How many have you won since?
We've got 23 overall.
You have 23 overall. Yep. Okay. So 79, you won your first. So you guys in the early days of nationals you quickly became a powerhouse. And in 79, you won your first. Did that success happen organically, or was that a goal or a vision to become the best, win a national championship right out of the gates? How, in the early days, what did that look like as an organization, your early success?
Well, we were considering ourselves a fun club. And that means that we would just go out, we would ski, and if we had $100 left in the kitty at the end of the season, we'd throw a party. However, we had two people that were very competitive minded. That was Dick DeLuca. He was a show director at the time. Dan Palin, Lance Elliott. We were all met at Dan Palin's apartment. And the question that went around the board at that time was, are we going to be a fun club or are we going to be a tournament-oriented club? And that changed the outlook of the Aqua Jays after that.
So
You know, when we'd
77
go to
was-
state tournament, we would just come in seventh, eighth, whatever, one of the bottom teams when we'd ski in the early state show tournaments that were held on the river. And like Duane said, we had a meeting and discussed whether we wanted to run with the big dogs, and that was like Tomahawk and the northern clubs even when they were the powerhouses. And
Yep.
remember, we won a first national championship before we ever won the state show tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't win state till the following year after we won nationals. We were not a good team.
Yeah, those
for
early
many
nationals
years.
were
We just-
won. Didn't Capital City, Aquanuts won those early years, huh?
No. Aquanuts won in 82,
Oh,
3,
they-
and 4.
Yeah, you're right. They were early.
So
years.
it was interesting because the first 16 years of nationals were won by only 3 teams. It was Madison, the Jays, or Aquanuts.
Yeah.
But to answer your question even a little bit more, so the year they're talking about was 1977. We went through 3 show directors that season because it was kind of a, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a tumultuous year. And I'm just a young guy kind of watching all this thinking, my gosh, what the heck is going on here? But then really credit Dick DeLuca with, as they've already said, really took the bull by the horns then, and he was a great leader, very good skier. And with some of his foresight then, he kind of shined the light for the next group of us guys to come along and kind of build on that.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of made this decision of, fun club. No, we're going to be a tournament club. Did that ever waver, or was it always from that point on always been tournament focused club?
Tournament focused club.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
But by the same token, you can have fun and be a tournament
for sure.
and be a tournament focused club. So they're not mutually
sure.
exclusive. I gotta emphasize that because I hear that all the time is, well, we don't want to be in tournaments because we want to have fun, and I'm here to tell you that you can do both. Or for example, I wouldn't be here this long. So
Right.
Being in tournaments is fun. I mean, that's the
Yes.
part that I love about it the best. But
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Tournaments themselves have gotten so much better because of us early clubs. I use the term clubs as we've grown, as we've expanded. I remember Cap City coming with a garbage truck full of sound equipment from TV Lenny's and unloading that sound equipment. That just blew everybody away. I mean, it was just a sight. And it reminds me also, as evolution goes, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but Carl Schubert was a force as far as a show director went, and he's the guy who introduced the spaceship at a Janesville Nationals one year. And he summarily went right to Florida. Unfortunately, he ran into Lynn Novakovsky. And that was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm not as big a guy as I thought I was.
Yeah. Huh.
What let's see, I want to ask this though. You become the successful club. You win your first nationals in 1979, and then you win state the year after. Did you guys kind of get a taste for winning, and was it easy to kind of sustain that mentality over time of, being a, let's not tournament club versus fun club. Yes, you can have fun at tournaments. I totally get that. But it was competition. Did you get the bug? Did you get the competition bug? And has that always stuck? And has every show director always had that focus? Because we've seen that over time with our team and other teams is, sometimes it depends on the show director. The show director might have other ideas versus what maybe the rest of the team does. But were you guys able to kind of maintain that drive to be very competitive?
Yes.
Yes.
That
I
you
don't
pretty
think
well
there's any
summed it up,
question.
Adam. Once we acquired the first one, we had that taste for it, and we wanted more. And we
Well,
were
and
very
you
committed
find out
to it.
too. Yeah, and you find out too that when you are successful, then it's much easier to get donations and things like that, and so
Attract members.
Yeah, attract members, and that whole thing so becomes a self-fulfilling thing. The hard thing then is to maintain a little bit of that as members come and go over the years to maintain that energy for the whole team. The show directors we've been pretty lucky with. They've all had the whole same intent was to do well at the tournaments, but it's hard always to keep the energy with the teams.
Yeah, so I want to ask sort of about that. Watching the sustained success over time, it's one of the most impressive things to me. Like I'm always attracted. I've talked about this in other podcasts. Attracted to greatness. I like watching great athletes, the top of their sport, great teams, watching and learning from them, great coaches, and it's always impressive to watch the sustained success over decades. What do you guys? Are there organizational structures you have in place that you feel stand out, that help you succeed over time, to sustain your success over time? What are those things that you guys do or have done that maybe others don't, that have been the catalyst for your sustained success?
It's a loaded question, man.
I think there's actually a lot that goes into it. First of all, you have to establish a culture that's what they want to do. And so we actually had meetings, and I remember sitting in on those in the late 70s and early 80s. And like I said before, Dick DeLuca was a key to that, and he kind of gave. And actually, Roy Lentz, he was an old guy that was on the team that was part of the Rock River Boat Association beforehand, and he had some old guy wisdom coupled with Dick DeLuca's
Young
vision.
guy's wisdom.
The young guy's wisdom. He really did have good wisdom for that age, and then we sat down and we kind of all developed that culture, and then that culture kind of carried itself, and then you have to continue that, and so it took a long time, or not a long time, but it took a while to figure out how to do that, and then you also have to change. The culture has to adapt a little bit to the changing norms of society, and that was a huge challenge as we went forward from there, but. Yeah.
I see it as a self-fulfilling type of a situation, because as we continued to have success, then the more draw we put upon our spectators, and then our sponsors, and then we would get better skiers, and skiers who were intent on being the best that they could be. A lot of times, some of them would gravitate away. Gerry, JR, they both have been in professional shows, and they can understand what a professional show requires. And then they brought that back to us, and our core group of people have stayed around for all these years. And I attribute the success with our team from those core group of people. You might not always agree with them, but they definitely had the wisdom to impart on the young people that these days is sorely lacking with a lot of young people, and that's what they needed, was direction. Matt, Adam, you guys both know that today's youth is hard to reach, and it's hard to hold, and it's hard to maintain the enthusiasm with these young people, with all the things that they can do in other sports and other things, and the time it takes to become a top-notch water ski show is what this wisdom from the core group of people have brought.
One of the things that we did early on was Cypress Gardens opened their doors to ski teams, and this is in the late 70s. And so you could go down to Cypress Gardens, and Lynn Novakowski was the show director, and he would, in between shows, as a show director, you would set up with him what acts you wanted to work on in between shows. And so during our spring break, back then the spring breaks were pretty much all the same for our team. And literally, I bet 75-80% of our team would go down on spring break. We would take over Lake Roy Motor Lodge and then the ranch house there, and then there was one in between. And we would take the whole hotel, and we would go practice on Lake Summit, because there was a jump there and there was a little island on the beach and stuff. And in between shows, Lynn Novakowski would have his people do clinics and stuff. And so learning, when you have an opportunity to learn from the best and learn things the right way right away, it makes learning tricks and stuff, A, much easier, and B, less likely to be hurt. The same thing is true for Tommy Bartlett and Skip Gilkerson. So Skip used to travel around the state and do clinics as well with teams, and so we got on that train really quickly.
We did too.
And it's because of those two things, I think, that we really flourished in the early 80s and the late 70s, because trying to learn stuff on your own is very difficult. So
Gerry makes a well point that Lynn Novakowski helped us a tremendous amount with his generosity and kindness towards allowing us to come down there.
That's awesome.
And it was kind of neat because Tom and JR, we were sponsored by Correct Craft, and Tom and JR would go over and pick up the boats then on that trip, and we get to use the boats right away down there in Florida and stuff, and then they would bring them back up with them. So it was kind of a fun trip, and never underestimate the value of the social aspect of that as well. The more things you can make social, the better off things are going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can get a ton of stuff done if you're all together and you're all staying at the same place for a week. I mean, there's a lot that can be accomplished for sure. Now, because of your sustained success, I don't think you guys have ever been considered an underdog, and you're always the team that people want to beat. You always have a target on your back. How do you deal with that? I mean, my goodness, you guys didn't ski almost all last summer and you still won nationals. I mean, you guys are just that good. But how do you deal with that? It's, because the Jays always got a target on their back. How do you deal? That's got to be tough. Like, how do you deal with that?
It motivates us. Gerry don't make it more elaborate, but it basically motivates us.
If you want to drive me, that's a good way. That's a good way to start. And then when I was younger, what was pretty cool in the '80s, for example, is there was a whole core of 20 of us that had the same mentality. So that just powered us. It just powered us. So keep it up. Yeah, okay. But yeah, it does get old, especially the young kids. They don't understand it. Especially while we're successful as a team in tournaments and stuff like that, probably one of the things we haven't talked about, and maybe you're going to ask later, is how much we do to help people. Like teach at every think tank that's ever been, multiple tanks. We started ski camp at our site and hosted that for many years. And so, there's all these things. And so then when some of our kids hear things, they're like, they don't understand. And so we try to prepare them. We used to ask the crowd, for example, before the state tournament, our home crowd, we'd say, please don't clap. We want our kids to get used to this kind of behavior of the fans, because that's the way it would be when we went to the state tournament. So, and then we'd have to explain that to the kids, and that's a difficult thing to try to explain. And yeah, it's not necessarily an easy thing, and it's really not fair to the kids. And some of us older people understand it kind of goes with the territory, but it really doesn't need to, but it still does. And it's to a certain extent, it's part of the deal. If it was a pro sport thing or something like that, we're getting paid for, you'd say, well, whatever. That's the deal. But this is an amateur sport, and so that's that. I'm not going to lie, it can get a little frustrating sometimes, but I care more about how it affects the kids than For me, it's just it's an adrenaline shot, but for them, it's not.
Has that waned a little bit?
Yeah,
Has that gotten better over time,
yeah.
like than it was in the, I don't know, in the super competitive days, like with you in Badgerland? I don't know. Is that changed, or do you still feel like it's that way? Because, like, hearing you say that, we coach our team on the exact opposite. Like, we are there to watch shows, cheer for everybody, cheer all through awards, clap for everybody, no matter who gets what award. Like, we that's our culture that we try to impart on our people. So I just didn't know if, from your standpoint, you guys have seen less of that, or is that it still goes on?
Well, we tell them the same thing. We want our kids to be good sports and good sportsmen because, for example, there's no glory in winning if the other people don't do well. I'm going to use the 1995 Nationals. It wasn't. We don't really talk about that much because we didn't say, well, we really had a great show. We had the least crappy show that weekend, and that's just the way it is. But yeah, we tell our kids the same thing. We expect them to be good sportsmen. We expect all of that because we expect them to be role models. But then, that's contingent upon our leadership of our team. We have to be role models and set the example for how we expect the kids to behave, even though others don't. And to answer your question more directly, it sort of ebbs and tides. Some years worse than others, and from certain. I mean, you can see it's when you're standing down there on the stage and you look over the audience, it's pretty evident where the applause is coming from and where the sitting on the hands is at. So,
sure.
So we look at it as if we can get the people to give us a standing O, then we must have really did something good. So
That's great.
that's the goal.
Well, Adam, I do want to chime in
One
here. I
of
want
the
to
things
chat
I
about,
think has helped.
Yeah. Oh, JR, go ahead.
I think one of the things that's improved the relationship is now we don't argue over motors. That one I never could understand, and it really drove me crazy. Somebody had to sponsor somebody, and that didn't mean they were a good or bad team, but we sure rode that horse for a while.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's not an issue anymore.
No, we're all on the same team there. Adam, let's talk briefly about Paul Stokes and the American Family Insurance Agency. Paul is a fantastic insurance agent with American Family, and you should check him out. Paul's tagline is "Get stoked and stay stoked," and he's giving back to show ski teams.
Yeah, his Get Stoked process is his easy quoting process. You can contact Paul to get an insurance quote, and if you do that, your team will get $30 donated directly to your team by Paul. So get a quote. Your team gets $30. No obligation to sign on to Paul in any way. So get a quote, get $30.
Yep, Paul Stokes Agency at American Family is giving back, and you'd be a fool not to at least get a quote. Contact him today to get that quote and save money on your insurance. Get stoked and stay stoked with Paul Stokes at American Family Insurance. All right, let's move on and chat about the 50th Nationals. You guys actually chose
50th Nationals.
50th. So you actually swapped spots essentially in the rotation and asked to host this 50th. Why is hosting this year's Nationals so important to you guys?
Needless to say, from the originators of the event and all of the work and processes that we went through in order to even get the tournament off the ground and accepted by at that time, the American Water Ski Association, which has morphed into USA Water Ski, was a difficult challenge. As we, I'm going to say we as JR and I, spent many a day traveling to a lot of Midwest Council people and executive vice presidents of different parts of USA or AWSA to convince these people that the Nationals was a viable tournament, even though the Wisconsin State Tournament did entertain more teams. We had a solid groundwork of how we would go about producing the event. After we got and talked to a lot of these Midwest Council people, JR and I attended a meeting at a place called the Van Door Inn in Chicago. That's where they held their Midwest meeting. At that time, I presented what we were going to do, the program, how we were going to go about it, and the parameters that we would use for the event. After I had an opportunity to speak with them, JR and I sat out in the lobby waiting for a response. They came back with a complete support package for us that they sent down to headquarters in Winter Haven, Florida at the time. Then JR and I went down to the headquarters and in '74, and we talked with Bill Clifford. I don't know if you know Bill Clifford or not, but he was, what was his title, JR?
Executive Director.
Executive Director of AWSA. We sat in there and we presented our package to him and the letter of support from the Midwest region, and he summarily shot it down. He didn't think that the tournament would be able to withstand even as much as 3 years, and it would probably not be around. And of course, JR and I didn't feel exactly the same way. We were very adamant about how we felt about the event.
And thankfully,
now, there was no
you
sanction
didn't.
for him. Well, yes. There was no sanction form. I took a 3-event national sanction form and rewrote it to incorporate show skiing in. So we had some document at the time that AWSA would have to hang on to. JR left me. He went over to Expo 75 for Tommy Bartlett, and I don't blame him a bit. That was a heck of a deal. And so we sat on the living room floor and we got a stick list from AWSA, which had 250 water ski teams throughout the country. But there was only a small handful of them that put on shows. So we sent these invitations out, and we got back 9 responses, with the farthest one away being the Shreveport Aqua Cats from Shreveport, Louisiana. And these were down-home boys. Believe me, their pickup boat was a 12-foot aluminum rowboat, and with like a 9-horse motor on it. And y'all was the word of the day.
Yeah.
So, but they had a great time, and as it evolved, we had some teams that were really colorful, provided a lot of entertainment, but probably would be taken off the water for safety hazards these days. But
so that first nationals was 1975, correct?
That's correct.
And you guys hosted that.
That's correct.
Yes.
And how many teams attended?
9 teams.
9 teams attended the first nationals hosted by the Rock Aqua Jays in 1975.
Yep.
Correct.
Amazing.
And there's going to be 12 teams at the 50th.
13.
Right? 13 teams at the 50th. What plans do you have in store for the 50th?
We're going to have fun.
Yes.
Great.
We're definitely going to have fun.
You should.
That goes without saying.
We're going to have beer.
Yeah.
Did you have beer at the first one? Was there a beer tent? Was that a thing?
No.
Okay.
We couldn't have beer in the park.
How many
Oh,
nationals?
when did that change?
Yeah, when did that change?
How many dry nationals were there? And how did the nationals survive that?
Well, I don't know.
bring your
Danny
own.
Duran's kind of made it a. Danny Duran's kind of made it a wet one.
Yeah. Bring your own.
That's fair. Yep.
The city allowed the JCs to have fireworks in the park, and they granted them a liquor license. So then the door opened up for us, and
Ah,
now we host the fireworks in Janesville.
Yeah.
But
you
there was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 nationals that didn't have alcohol at it.
Yeah.
As a
So
matter
what's
of
it-
fact, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
was
Wayne.
gonna say,
As a matter of fact, the team itself voted to make it a dry tournament for several years. We didn't feel that alcohol was necessary to have a good time. And so that was kind of our philosophy at the time. But, of course, economics soon won out.
Just like
yeah, right?
And
How are we going to make money hosting nationals? Oh, we're going to sell beer.
yeah,
We're
and-
going to serve
Genius.
beer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I want to hear. I know Jerry's playing a big role in some of the events that have going on. All of you are. But what is the 50th Nationals gonna hold for us? What are we looking forward to as our listeners make their way to Janesville over the weekend?
Well, we want to have the competitors have a fantastic site to ski at, and have it all set up so that they can do the show that they practice the whole year, or maybe 2 years, or however long it took them to get to the level that they're at now. So we want them to have a good time. We want the spectators to have a great time, and we want everybody to enjoy the camaraderie of each other and stuff, and just appreciate 50 years. We are going to have one of the things we're going to have is a history tent that's going to have.
I was just going to ask that. Is there going to be like throwback stuff? And
Yeah,
there we go.
it's actually going to have the poster boards from all 49 years, because obviously the 50th isn't done yet, but it's going to have there's 49 poster boards of pictures and summaries of the tournaments of those years. And actually, we brought the NSSA Hall of Fame tower up. It's got all the award winners and stuff on that. And
Love that.
So
Awesome.
it's gonna have some costuming and things like that in there. On Friday night, we're gonna have some opening ceremonies, in which there will be a boat parade, which is all the teams are invited to participate in that are competing. And so that'll be fun, and that's the beginning of kind of like a short ski show. Well, it's not short anymore, a ski show. It's kind of blossomed, which the theme of the ski show kind of basically is the old and the current. And so there's going to be some stuff from old stuff to the modern day stuff, and we hope everybody appreciates it. We're trying to get a number of different people involved in that. It's not necessarily going to be shooting for the biggest and the best. It's going to be shooting for kind of some entertaining things that happened in the past and some of the good stuff that's happening now. For example, Glenn Sperry is making an appearance to do his stilt skis and stuff. So
Yep.
that should be kind of fun. And we're going to have announcers that are from now and some announcers from the past, as well as there's going to be a special opportunity from a couple of the drivers from the past that may show up. So. And actually, what's really kind of cool from our perspective is the originators of the team. The young boys bought a kit boat, and that was our first towboat back then, 1960 or 61 or whatever that was. And of course, over time, that boat got kind of dilapidated and stuff. And one of our former members found it and bought it, thinking that the team may want to rehab it, and then the team's like, wow, that's a lot of work. So they sold it to somebody else. Well, then one of the relatives of the of one of the originators of the team, they've bought that boat now and they've rehabbed it and completely restored it, and so that's going to lead the boat parade.
Awesome.
So that's
Cool.
yeah,
That's awesome.
So that'll be kind of cool, and it'll be interesting to see. And then it's followed by a few other cool boats, and then it's going to have all the teams. Yeah.
You know, JR and Duane in particular, both of you, as you guys look back at the sport from the first Nationals to the 50th, what stands out as different, better, cool? What, as you look at the 50 Nationals?
I think just watching the sport grow. I mean, we don't even do acts that they're in, flag lines and things like that anymore. Our skiing talent has developed so high. Once the fellow from Indiana did a front flip with a regular pair of jumpers, our freestyle jumping has just gone awesome. And then look at swivel skiing. I mean, how that's improved so much.
Yep.
Matt, to put your finger on something like that is almost impossible because we've watched equipment evolve exponentially. Look at the old Northland jumpers that the old guys used. I mean, they weighed as much as I do, and things have changed dramatically. Look at the boats. We look at the entertainment value. Look at your sound systems today, and the backdrops and all of the things that have changed so dramatically year in and year out. Who would have thought at the time you'd have 900 horsepower on a Hydrodyne boat? But nonetheless, there it is. I made a statement once that I'm ready for the next guy who's going to put 4 of them on there. But now that Mercury is making 400 horsepower motors, 450 horsepower motors, look what you can get in just 3 motors. So it's but there's a but there. But insurance plays a part in that too, and we understand that.
Well, I have a question as we get close to wrapping up here. For each one of you, I want each one of you to answer. What has been your favorite Nationals memory? If you had to pick one, what would it be?
I can answer that, Adam. In 1979, we were facing probably the most daunting club on the face of the water, and that was Cap City. You just couldn't beat these guys.
Some things never change. Yeah.
However, we had to go all the way down to DuQuoin, Illinois, on a little borrow pit for a highway, and ski our butts off to win by the skin of our teeth, and that was one win that will live with me forever.
All right. So Duane's memory is the first RAJ victory in 1979. JR, how about you?
I have to say the same. The trophy sits about 10 feet to my right. I have the privilege of having it at my house. And
That's awesome.
Is that going to make its way to the tent this weekend? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I hear you. Jerry, how about you?
I don't know. It's hard. Certainly that first one, that bus ride home. Whew, that was crazy.
Oh my God, the bus ride home.
Yeah, that was the bus would stop and the liquid would flow forward and the bus would take off and the liquid would flow back. It was it was the 70s, so that was great. Probably the other one would be 1993, I think, when we won that Nationals. Actually, we won the Triple Crown that year, and that was the first year that Kathy and I did doubles, and we won. And so she got Willa. So there was a lot of good things. Actually, we were going to retire That's a joke now. But we
You
were
were going to retire in
In
93?
1993.
at the end of 1993, we were going to retire. We talked and we are like, yeah, it's
Hang
probably
it up.
good. Yeah, it's. I mean, what we've done what we wanted to do.
How'd that work out for you there,
Because
Jerry?
yeah, because I'd won the skip 2 years before that. We won the doubles. We did the five high.
yeah.
We did the triple crown.
Right?
I was the show
Jeez.
director, and then so was Timmy. And so yeah, it was like, yeah, I'm good. And
30 years later, you're still doing it.
yeah, I know. And then we were going to retire a couple. Well, probably 10 years later, and Aragorn told us.
Nobody believes you anymore.
Yeah, well, we don't even believe ourselves. So.
No. Amazing.
But it's-
Those are,
But, it's a fun sport. It's a fun organization, and it's fun to be part of it. So.
yeah. Those are great memories. And I want to lead into, segue from that to, let's think ahead 50 years from now, after you guys have passed on your legacy of success with the Rock Aqua Jays and with Nationals. What do you hope continues to live on in the legacy that you guys have left?
I think that's going to be very hard to predict the future in those terms, Matt, because there won't even be boats around anymore. They'll be pulling everybody with a jet or something like that. And I don't know. I'm sure that there's going to be some tremendous things, but we'll be jumping 1,000 feet by then, and there will be some crazy kids doing things that we never even imagined. Just like they're on. Look at the Mobes and how about Dan Olson with that whirly 540 up at State that one year.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have ever thought of that? But he did. We've just seen so much go on. The legacy, I want everybody to remember where it all started. That would be my wish.
That's great.
What I think about is we need to understand that we only compete for 1 hour. The rest of the time we're friends, and that you have to give. Alan Booballs taught me this. If you're enjoying this and you're getting something out of it, give back to the sport you love. And that's what I've tried to do, by teaching boat driving throughout the United States.
Yeah, that's great. Jerry, how about you?
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about legacy. So I don't know. It's been kind of fun. You don't, when you're in this long, you don't really realize the impact that you have on other people.
Yep.
Like JR said, when you're helping people, and we've had the opportunity to help people all over the country and actually all over the world now, and when you get notes back, that somebody got something, it even helped them maybe with their personal life, with their job, relationship, school, whatever. And when you when you see those things, and you go, this is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Love that. I want to close by thanking you guys for doing this episode. I just want to say that we've been competitors over the years, and we all want to win. But I love JR's point. Like, as I've matured in this sport, I have nothing but the utmost respect for you guys, for your organization, for watching your sustained success. You set the standard for all of us to want to be and achieve in such a way. The way you guys have, started and grown Nationals over time. And we're looking forward to an amazing Nationals. I just want to give you guys my respect and shout out to the three of you for being such great legends and ambassadors for the sport. And thank you for coming on the episode today.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate that is like from what you guys have done for the sport, I mean, that's why we're here today. I mean, I don't even know if this the sport would not be where it would be is right now. We probably wouldn't have a podcast about it. And here we are recording, talking about 50 years worth of nationals. And hell, this could be a recording that's going to be in the 100th Nationals history. 10th is us 3 or 5 Yahoos talking about the 50th. And I mean, so it's what you guys have done for the sport that has brought us, to where we are today. And so thank you.
I'd like to thank you personally for the honor to talk about it.
Yep.
You're very welcome.
It's definitely an honor to be here.
Great. Well, good stuff. That was, it's cool to hear the history of nationals, and those guys are so passionate about the sport and what they've done growing their organization. Like people like Jay Hart and Duane have been with their clubs forever and have started the clubs, started nationals. They've done a lot for the sport. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, if you're listening to this, you should encourage everybody on your team to listen to this, because this is how the sport got started. I mean, you should be genuinely being excited for the 50th Nationals, thinking back on where this started, who started it, and that, and how we've gotten here today. And, to ask them about their favorite Nationals memory, and they all it was the first win. And, how can you disagree with that? Because I remember our first one back in 2004, and that's probably, if you ask me, it was the first one. So, very cool. Listening to them talk about Traxler Park back in the 60s, how they weren't getting any support, and it was just a muddy shoreline, and the city didn't really work with them. I'm like, it's Law Park today, 2025.
Right.
Here we are, 60 years behind Janesville. They got it all figured out, and we still haven't. So,
and like we said, they're the standard. And what stood out to me is like the word Gerry used, because I've used it lately in conversations with several people in the sport, is culture. Like every team has a culture, and you can change that culture. If you can either make excuses for the direction you are headed, or what your organization looks like, or whether you are more or less competitive than you want to be, or you can change that culture in a positive way and build that culture so that it sustains your growth and success over time. And they're evidence of that, and that's super cool. So thanks to those guys for coming on the episode. Next episode, we're going to recap Nationals and Corn Fest. It's going to come right after Corn Fest. And then this fall, we're going to start to talk about some bigger picture stuff in the sport. The scoring system, maybe chat a little D1, D2 again, other potential systematic changes that might be needed in the sport of show skiing at this time. Yeah,
I think there could be many episodes about that kind of stuff in the fall, in the off season. I'd like to throw out a big thank you to our sponsors, Flyman Skis, Sega Sports, and Paul Stokes for sponsoring today's episode. And again, thank you to all of our viewers and our listeners. This is Matt and Adam, and this is The Ski Show.
Thank you for listening to The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast with Matt and Adam. If you have questions or ideas for the show, find us on social media or message us at theskishowpodcast@gmail.com.